Hi, my name's Hannah. Welcome to this video in my phone, which I may or may not upload to the internet. Basically, I've been wanting to make a knitting podcast for a really long time. I'm on Christmas holidays right now, so I thought I would try it. I did the same thing last Christmas holidays and did not upload it anywhere, so this might just live in my phone forever. But yeah, I've been wanting to do this for a really long time because I watch a lot of knitting podcasts. I'd like to join in the conversation. And more recently, so I went to Shetland Wool Week in September, October. And since then, knitting's it's the season anyway, but since then, knitting's basically just occupied the whole of my brain. So yeah, I've been knitting a lot of stuff, and some of my pals in real life do knit or do craft, but I just have quite different crafting. I'm very into Shetlandy rules and traditional knitting, although actually the stuff that I have lined up beside me is not all like that because it's Christmas, and a lot of this stuff that I've been knitting recently are gift knits, which is another reason why I thought I'd do this now, because I'm about to give a lot of them away for Christmas. I've already given one pair of gloves away for my work, Secret Santa, and they were just kind of like low-pea basic fingerless gloves. But yeah, I've wanted to do this for a really long time. And so yeah, a little bit of background is that, yeah, my name's Hannah. I live in Scotland, in the west of Scotland, in a town. I learned to knit as a kid. My auntie taught me how to do the knit stitch, and I made a scarf, which I remember taking to school with me when I was 11 and being very proud of it. But I think she taught me to knit when I was 7 or 8 or something like that. So yeah, I've always kind of known how to do it, but then didn't do it for a while. And then, yeah, in my kind of late teens, when I was in uni, I picked it up again properly and, relearned a bunch of skills using YouTube. And since then, I've had a solid more than 10 years of just knitting pretty consistently. So that's my background in this. One of the reasons I've been keen to do this is that so you can maybe see behind me, a lot of these are hand knit, some of them are purchased. But yeah, I have a lot of knits that I made 10 years ago where I have noticed things about how the yarn wears over a very long period of time. Obviously not as long as some people. I know some people have hand knits they made 40, 50 years ago, and they would obviously have more to say than I would. But yeah, my kind of notions for what this could be are kind of partly the standard whips, finish objects, acquisitions type chat. But also, I think because I have so many old finished objects, I'd like to do spotlight on an object that I maybe made 5, 6 years ago, and really talk about if I've worn it or not and the reasons behind that. I think that might be it's interesting to me. I would like to watch that basically. I don't know if anyone else would like to watch that. And then also, I've been very, very fortunate to go to a few things like Shetland Wool Week I went to a few months ago. I have a bunch of footage from that, which I will try, and insert at the start or the end or something of this, because I think it's really beautiful footage. I loved Shetland so much. So yeah, in the future, if I upload this and if I do it, I'd like to talk about kind of those kind of trips, and I've been lucky over the years to go to some other places and kind of explore their textile cultures, and I just find all that super interesting as well. So yeah, I think I'd like to do a mishmash of those different things. But without any more rambling, I guess I'll start with, I think I'll just go in order from basically after Shetland Wool Week. So I came back from Shetland at the start of October, and the first thing I finished with stuff that I bought in Shetland were these socks. So Jamesons and Smith in Shetland brought out a new yarn, which was a 5-ply worsted spun Gansey yarn. So I bought some of that, and yeah, because it was worsted spun and because it looked like it had a relatively high twist, she says not really with much confidence, but I thought it might be okay for socks and for bed socks anyway. So these are for me, and yeah, I haven't actually worn them yet. I finished them not that long ago. My intention is to wear them for around the house socks and see how they go. But yeah, I would love if they worked out for socks, and if they wear reasonably well, I think I'll make some of these potentially for gifts, because they were quite enjoyable to knit. I used a kind of basic sock recipe from Winnick Mum, I think it is, or Winwick Mum on Ravelry. I don't knit a lot of socks, but whenever I do, that's kind of the recipe that I use. I just made it a 3x1 rib, heavily influenced by Emma from Woolly Mammoth Fibre Company, because I think she was making socks before I started these, and I liked the idea of the 3x1 rib that just continues, so you don't have a separate rib bit at the top. And I use the tiny circulars to make these, so I'm not great at double pointed needles, so I never made socks before I got those tiny little circulars. And the ones that I use are from C-Knit, like SEE knit. So yeah, I love them so much. I only like really knitting with wooden needles, so they really fit the bill. And yeah, as I say, I'll hopefully report back on how this yarn wears. I'm really, really hoping that it wears nicely, because I think like it's not quite heathered, but it has some like different tones in it. So I got 3 colours. I've obviously only used a tiny bit of this kind of rust colour and of this dark mustardy colour. So yeah, if they wear well, I could quite easily flip the colours or do stripy socks or something like that, which I think would be very nice. So yeah, this was just kind of a quick palette cleanser after Shetland, and super happy with it. I also really like, I know it's not really the main point of the knit, but I really love these sock blockers. I didn't wet block them, I've just kind of put them on here dry, because I figured they'll block to the shape of my feet when I wear them. I do always block jumpers, but not so much socks and hats and stuff like that. And I've just realised, having said that I didn't mention what this is. So I knitted this year or last year. I've worn it a fair bit, but it's not particularly old. It's actually, the pattern I used was Nook, N-U-U-K. I have not made notes for this because I sort of am doing it slightly on a whim. So my Ravelry is very up to date with everything I've ever knit, basically, is on Ravelry, and it has the patterns and the designers and all of that. So I'll link to my Ravelry if there's any details I forget. But yeah, this was the Nook t-shirt that I did some minor modifications. So basically I split the hem here. I did 2x2 rib. I think the original is in 1x1 twisted rib. And I added sleeves. So they're just kind of lightly tapered sleeves. I put my notes for my sleeves on Ravelry, so if anyone happens to want to do the same thing, the notes are there with numbers. The yarn is the New Lanark Aran yarn. So New Lanark's like a heritage mill near Lanark, and New Lanark in Scotland. It's a wee bit of a drive because I live in the west of Scotland, but me and my partner went, I don't know, a year or 2 ago, and I got this brownie colour. It actually isn't the kind of colour that prior to that I would have necessarily went for, but at the time I was watching a lot of the Knitting Traditions podcast, and Inga from that podcast just wears loads of lovely browns, so I decided to get this brown. I got about 10 balls or something crazy. I got loads of it because my intention at the time was to make a big cabled sweater, and just over time I went off the idea of that and made this. So this took, I think, less than 5 balls, so I could make another whole one, or I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do with the rest of that yarn, but I very much like it. I think I wear it to work sometimes, and also just out and about. It is, I know some people don't like when t-shirts show here. I quite like that, so I'm happy that it's got a kind of wider neck. I don't like things being here at all. I don't like the feeling, so no, I'm happy with that. And I do, like, if I was wearing it to work or whatever, I wouldn't wear a t-shirt that shows. I just wear a wider kind of skippy neck. But this is one of the most wearable things that I have, so that's what that is. Which was a slight sidetrack. And then yeah, the things that I finished since those socks are less the kind of woolly wool stuff that I would normally go for. So the next thing I finished is a hat. This is a hat for my partner. It's the original pattern, oh god, it's called 2x2 or something like that. It's a free pattern, and it's for like a watch cap style, which is folded up the way. But my partner didn't want that. I started knitting it, and he was very good at pretending that he didn't see it, so I was like making him try it on and then saying, yeah, but you have to forget that there was a hat, and he was like, what hat? So that was nice. But yeah, I've got a clip in the back of my head. it's kind of a basic beanie that doesn't fold up, which feels kind of 90s to me and to him, which is fine, I guess. And it's super wash. So last year I made him fingerless gloves from, I want to say, West Yorkshire Spinners something or other, which was not super wash. I've since washed those and also mended them for him, but yeah, he would just prefer something super wash. So actually, I'm not sure if this is technically super wash. It is machine washable on very gentle cycles, I know that much. So it's the Vikings of Norway, or Viking Garn, I think, is what it's sold as in Scandinavia. Alpaca Storm. I use this a lot for baby gifts because it's super soft and really nice to work with, but also can be machine washed on a gentle cycle. So he has seen this and he does really like it, but I'm gonna hide it now for before he goes. And the crown is just very much like 4 points, 2 stitches in between, all comes out pretty neat. So this was just a simple Christmas knit. Didn't take that long, and because it's for him, I didn't really mind doing it too much either. So there was this. And then sticking on the theme of making hats for everyone, last year I made gloves for everyone. This year it seems to be hats. So this is the 20th, 21st, 20th, I think. I honestly don't know. This is some point in December. It's my second or first full day of work. Can't remember. Basically, I knitted this hat since I finished work, and I knitted it within just over 24 hours, and it's for my niece, who's 1.5. She is very knitworthy, so I made her this hat. This is and it has a label. Oh, is that label going to focus? Who knows? Where's the camera? Oh, I don't think it is. The label says Auntie made it, and I have a bunch of those labels that I bought before she was even born. So yeah, this is the Oslo hat. I think is that a petite knit? I think it's petite knit. And I love this hat so much. Like, I think this is one of the most kind of like shop bought looking things that I've made. Yeah, when she was first born, I knit things in a bunch of different colours, but pink is very much her preference, so this is just a little pink hat for her. The yarn is the same as the yarn that I used for my partner's hat, so it's Vikings of Norway, Alpaca Storm, super soft. And I think that even though this hat is not ribbed, because it's alpaca, it's very stretchy. And also, like, she's 1.5, I made the smallest size, but that hat, it just kind of has like baby/kid as one size. So I mean, like, it's too small for me, like it would never fit me, so I'm hoping that it'll fit her. But yeah, the reason I wanted to make a hat in this kind of style for her is that she likes to try on like my hat and my brother's, her dad's hat, and I just think it's really cute when she wears like adult style hats with the triple brim. So yeah, this is for her. I also did buy her the toy that was like on her little list that was requested, but I thought this would be a nice extra thing. And yeah, I finished it last night. Super pleased with how it turned out. It's not been blocked, but it's a hat. I don't think it really needs to be blocked, but also I think the stitches have come out like reasonably even looking without that. And Christmas is just around the corner, so I don't want to have more wet things hanging about the house, because it's honestly like there's not a lot of daylight right now. It's basically right around the darkest night. Really hard to get stuff dried, like even bed sheets and stuff, let alone trying to block knitwear. So this is going to be as it is, and yeah, I'll wrap it up after this. The pattern's an interesting one, right? So if I unfold it, you knit double this length straight, then you fold it, and the next round you fold it and knit it into itself. So like you pick up from the cast on edge and knit it together. Then you do a little bit of purling, and then kind of the more standard hat. So this is the second time I've made this hat. The first time I made one for myself, and the first time I was like, oh, I'll just, like, I was folding it in half and I was thinking that looks long enough for the brim. I'm gonna stop now before the amount of centimetres that the pattern said. It was like, surely that looks massive. But I didn't quite realise that once you tack it down and once you do the purl bit on the inside, like, I don't know how to explain this. On the inside, you can see this bit looks different. That's actually the purl bit. So you have the purl bit, and then you have some of your knitting, and then you have the folded bit. So actually you do probably need the full amount of the pattern sets, and like, which I should have realised. I don't know why I thought I was like outsmarting the pattern. That wasn't very sensible of me. But yeah, actually this is the one that I made for myself a while ago, and you can see the brim is probably a bit small, although I do wear this all the time. I'll take out my hair clip and just put it on because I didn't think this through when I clipped my hair up. So yeah, I wear this quite a lot. I just out and about. It's actually Farmer's Daughter Fibres, Pishkin, don't know, DK. So I went to the States at the end of last year. I went to Yellowstone, which was like something I've been wanting to do for years and years and years. And on that trip, I wanted to get some American yarn, so I picked up this. And yeah, I love the hat. I would have probably made it a bit longer, and as I say, with a bit of a bigger rim. I just have enough of this exact colour left to make another one, so potentially I might do that. But yeah, me and Harper can sort of twin. Actually, size-wise, there's not so... So this one was the second smallest size, and I'd say it's stretched out a lot in wear, but it's still quite tight on me. And this is the small, so there's only one size difference between these two. They're really similar, and like she's 1.5 and I'm not. So yeah, hopefully it'll fit. I find hat sizing kind of difficult to do. Gloves are obviously a lot easier for gifts because most people's hands are pretty similarly sized. But yes, so there was this gift. And then after that, we're sort of on to whips. So, I just dropped my yarn, 2 seconds. Yep, so I have 2 whips that more or less go together because it's the same yarn, and it's yarn that I got when I was in Shetland. So I guess I'll start with this one. This is, to go back to the beginning, the reason I made this jumper is that I bought some fancy yarn in Shetland, which I'll show afterwards, and I'm planning to make an all over colourwork sweater to my own kind of chart, steeked. I had done steeking before. I made a bunch of, actually, I think that cardigan is steeked. I made a bunch of Icelandic cardigan type things when I was like in uni and when I left uni and stuff like that. So I'd steeked cardigans before. I'd never steeked armholes or like neck holes. And even that mine was not the way, so you steek neck holes that way. So like I just couldn't conceptualise properly how to do that. And then I thought, oh well, maybe I can use an existing pattern and just change the charts, but the numbers weren't lining up and it was just involving a lot of maths. So I thought, no, I definitely want to just like make my own, like draft my own all over colourwork jumper, but I wanted to practice with some cheaper yarn, and in a plain jumper that took less time to knit, and in a heavier weight yarn, so again took less time to knit. So my solution for that was I went to Jamieson's of Shetland. One thing that Shetland Wool Week gave me was a strong opinion on the pros and cons of Jamieson's and Smith versus Jamieson's of Shetland. Jamieson's of Shetland is cheaper, which is why it went out for this project. But yeah, on balance, I prefer Jamieson and Smith, and everything else I got from those 2 major shops was Jamieson and Smith. But anyway, this was cheaper. And they also have more colours as other thing that goes in its favour. So I picked out 2 colours. I picked out this, which is Highland Mist, and then this dark blue, which I think was just called Navy. The details are on Ravelry. And yeah, I just wanted to, I started it when I was in Shetland because I figured it would be good to knit on the ferry, the overnight 14.5-hour ferry to Aberdeen, which is quite long. But yeah, I started it when I was there. So I started at the bottom with some ribbing and then knitted just plain. And when I got to this point, I cast on like 5 stitches or something like that for the underarm steek. So yeah, and then when I got to this point, I couldn't conceptualise it. I looked at a bunch of other patterns. I have the Shetland Wool Week annuals and they include some steeked patterns. I think one of the ones I looked at might have been the Roosty tank top by Ella Gordon. But I just couldn't figure it out. And then eventually I realised that, so these stitches effectively go on scrap yarn. And then when you're at this point, so you put this on scrap yarn, and then this, I cast on like 5 or 6 stitches again, and it's basically like these bits are joined together. So you have like a gapey bit here, and then these 2 sides are joined together, and the steek that you cut is effectively in the middle here. So yeah, I don't think I did a great job of explaining that because, as I say, I found it hard to conceptualize until I was doing it. But I mean, it seems to have worked. So I cut the armholes, I cut the neck hole. I've put on the neckband, finished one of the sleeves, and I just basically need to finish the other sleeve. The reason I haven't finished this yet is that I started making my other whip, and then I got worried, which is a baby jumper, and then I got worried that I wasn't going to have enough yarn to finish my first jumper if I made the whole baby jumper. So I knit like most of the sleeves of this jumper that you've just seen before allowing myself to continue with this baby jumper. But I'm now back on the baby jumper because the baby's been born. So this is size, I'll put this one down, I'll get back to it. This baby jumper is size 1 to 3 months. It's the Moby baby sweater by Petite Knit, and the baby was born 3 weeks ago and was born quite big. So it's for a friend down in London. I'll show it here. Oh, the cables are coming up quite nice. So yeah, as you can see, I knitted the back piece and the front piece, and now I've joined at the underarms and done a little bit there. I love this pattern. It's like, I actually think, well, maybe, I don't know, I have a lot of different neck plans, but I might make one for myself as well. But yeah, it's showing up really quite well on camera, the cables. I was a little bit worried about it when I started because it's the same yarn. It's the Jamesons of Shetland DK. I don't know if I said that as DK weight, which I think is woolen spun, and I think is really made for colour work as opposed to cable-y type things. And it's also kind of heathered, so the cables don't pop as much as if I'd used like that Vikings of Norway yarn that I used for the hats. But I had this yarn and I thought it was a perfect colour. The colour's called Highland Mist, which I like as well. The baby's born down in London, so it's nice to have something kind of Scottishy. And also, my friend who's had the baby is very, very, very knit-worthy. I made her low-peg mittens for Christmas last year, which she really liked. I did check with her before I made this if she was okay with something that couldn't go in the washing machine. Before the baby was born, I sent her a little cardigan made again of that Vikings of Norway yarn in red, and a wee Santa hat made of the same yarn as well, so I figured that can go in the washing machine, and this is more of like a wee heirloom type thing. So yeah, now that I didn't really have the headspace for this when I was working, to be honest, and that combined with the delays related to the other kind of plain blue jumper that I'm making just meant that I haven't worked on this in a wee while, so I'm starting again, and I'm hoping to finish it within like a week or so that hopefully by that point the baby will be a month old and we'll still be able to get some wear out of this. So yeah, I just need to finish some more of the body, do the ribbing, do a neckband, and then some wee sleeves. I mean, it's absolutely tiny, like shouldn't take long at all, but I really am pleased with it. I think the two baby things that I've been making recently, so this and the hat for my niece, I think these are good ones. Do you know what I mean? I know sometimes, or maybe it's just me, but sometimes when I make gifts, at the end of it, I'm a bit like, oh, because either it's not totally my jam, or for whatever reason you just kind of want to get through it. But no, I really hope that this will be worn, and I'm sure my friends will appreciate it, and I hope that her wee boy likes it too. I did send her a message and I was like, I'm so sorry, it's not going to be ready for Christmas. But I don't, like, he's 3 weeks old. He's got other stuff going on. He's not going to mind. He's not going to hold the delay against me, hold a wee grudge. So yeah, that's what I'm working on at the minute. So I'm working on those 2 blue jumpers, and I've just finished those 2 gift hats, and I've kind of said to myself that once that wee blue jumper is done, then I can cast on what I really want to cast on, which is the jumper that I got the really nice wool for in Shetland, and which I've been doing that practice staking for. So I mean, before I even went to Shetland, I had in my head that I really wanted to get yarn for this dream knit of mine, which is an all over colour work jumper in the kind of traditional Shetland red, white, yellow, green, blue colours, or I guess the traditional fairy colours, in those colours, and also based on a mitten pattern. So the Historic Materials books by Philip Pullman were some of my favourite books when I was a kid, and I'm looking forward to the next instalment of the Book of Dust coming out. I also did watch the TV adaptation of the first 3 books, which was on BBC over the last few years. So in the first series of that, which is the adaptation of the Northern Lights book, Lyra has these gloves on, these Fair Isle gloves, and I just thought they were so beautiful. I've read loads about it online. I think they used I think anyway, they used the colours that would have been available in the past, like madder dyed red and things like that. And it's obviously based on traditional Shetland charts. So last Christmas I decided to make myself a copy pair. Last Christmas though, there was also postal strikes, so I wasn't able to order yarn online. So I picked up my colours from what is my sort of local yarn store, which is the Yarn Cake in Glasgow, which is a very, very nice yarn store, and they carry a lot of Jamieson's and Smith yarn. But it wasn't the exact colours I wanted, but I just went with it because I really, really, really wanted to knit them. So these are the mittens that I made last time. The chart goes all the way around, and then it's an afterthought thumb. The red is basically a bit brighter than I would have wanted, but anyway. So I made these. I made the chart just on Excel based on how wide I wanted it to be. That looks like twisted rib, I think. And then, I put on fingers using the tutorial by Elizabeth Johnston, who's a Shetland knitter who I've always really admired, and I went to one of her classes at Shetland Wool Week for spinning, which I'm super bad at. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. So yes, I made these in the Christmas holidays last year. I spent ages looking at the gloves that were the inspiration, and even so, there's a couple of things in the chart I would change. So like, I should have put in a plain round of red before starting this motif, and also at the top to kind of separate that a bit more so the white's not touching the blue directly. But I've rectified the charts now, and I've done some sums for how I think the jumper should be. I just think it would be such a nice all over colourwork jumper. For the yarn I was kind of guessing the amounts I needed, which is a dangerous game because it's yarn that I can't get more of. But yeah, I was kind of guessing, and when I was buying it, I had thought I was going to do blue neckband, waistband and cuffs, and the amount of yarn I have, I think that's what I'm going to have to do. But then when I was looking at this, I was like, maybe I should have done red. That might have been nicer. But regardless, I think maybe I'm just in that headspace because it's Christmassy time right now, and my head wants like red makes more sense. But no, I think it's going to be blue for those things, and then the bulk of the patterns, because there's 2 different red patterns and only one skinny blue pattern, I think that will balance it more effectively anyway. So yeah, these are the inspiration, and the next thing that I want to knit once I finish the little blue jumper and the big blue jumper is that. So I'm going to pick up, I've just realised I've got it in a plastic bag and it's going to crinkle like hell, so I'm going to pick it up, and I might edit out the bit in which I'm picking it up. That wasn't too bad. So this is the yarn I got, which is in plastic right now, so you can't really see. I'll maybe take some out. So to start with the red, it's yarn from Uradale Yarns, and I went to Uradale. I want to say Uradale farm, and yeah, met Ronnie and his wife who run the yarn company. Beautiful farm, beautiful drive actually to get there, and yeah, just their whole ethos, like it's an organic farm. They also take a really responsible ethos to their meat production as well as their wool production, and they dye on. So actually, I think almost all of the colours that I picked out are dyed on coloured fleece. So they do some dyeing on white fleece, some dyeing on coloured fleece, and just have, yeah, it's just, if I were to be a sheep farmer, that's the kind of sheep farmer that I would hope I would be. It was just a really nice experience, and actually they get their yarn spun at the New Lanark Mill, which is a heritage mill, and which is where this yarn is from, which uses old equipment, and it's just the whole thing. They've really thought about every step of the process. And actually there's a really good interview with Ronnie from Uradale on the Woolly Thistle YouTube channel. I watch the Woolly Thistle shopcast a lot, even though it doesn't make any sense for me to order from there because they're in the States and it's most of the yarn is from the UK where I am. But yeah, they have a really great interview with him, which I would highly recommend. So yeah, I rectified the colour situation of those gloves that I made, and these are all more, I think these are all dyed on, apart from the cream that I'm about to fill out, I'm pretty sure they're all dyed on coloured bases. So, oh, the noises. The navy is really beautiful. And then the green. So this is the 5 colours, and they're called, was jumper weight yarn. Where's the name of the colour? So this is Moss Heath. I'm sure Heath is the part, they don't explain this, I'm sure if it's Heath it's dyed on grey. Juniper Heath. This is just Flucra, I don't know. Lichen. And Self-Heal Meal. So yeah, I've been wanting to cast this on for months, and I've been doing gift knitting and stuff. Gift knitting and I guess one practice knit and that pair of socks. So really, really excited to get going on this, and I think hopefully if I do this again, hopefully I'll have a bit of that I can hold up and be like, look, I finally did it. So yeah, I guess this was kind of a whistle stop tour of where I'm at, as I say, partly because I'm about to give a bunch of this stuff away. But yeah, I'm going to insert some footage of Shetland Wool Week and the amazing time that I had there. I didn't do all knitting stuff. I went to some classes and all that, but I also did some hiking, and it was just a beautiful time. So I think in the future I'd like to do probably a recap video of Shetland Wool Week and talk about the different things that I went to, places that I went to, classes that I enjoyed. I just didn't feel like doing that today because I feel like that involves prep, especially now that I'm like almost 3 months removed from it. So it involved me looking through photos to jog my memory, and yeah, also making some notes. But I have an embarrassing amount of acquisitions from Shetland Wool Week, that like including this, but this is honestly the tip of the iceberg because I took my car. So I was able to basically fill my car full of wool. I really felt for the people who were trying to ship stuff home, because the way to fly to Shetland is via Loganair, which has a really, really tight baggage limit. So I did feel for the people who had limits on what they could take. I could literally fill my whole car. So I didn't quite do that, but I did buy a lot of stuff. And yeah, that was the main reason I wanted to take my car on the ferry and suffered through the 14.5 hours each way on the ferry, was just so that I had the freedom to do that. So yes, I would like to do a kind of Shetland Wool Week roundup at some point, but for now it looks like I've been talking for half an hour, which is mind-blowing because it doesn't feel like half an hour. But yeah, I'll leave you with some footage of Shetland Wool Week, and yeah, it was, if anyone watches this, thanks for that, that's nice, and I'll maybe do it again.